Hi, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel, to the Witchy Reader. So for this video, I'm going to talk about the series I have started but not finished yet. Some of them are on hold because I'm trying to work on a few at a time. Right now is kind of one that I'm mainly working on because I'm trying to get it done because I'm almost done writing it at least, and I have to edit, and I'm gonna have a better reader for it, and then edit again. So I'm trying to work on that one to get it done. You might know her. She's been on some of my videos before. She was living with me for a few months recently. But so Alyssa and I have been working on The Witch's Assassin, and we both have our own character that we write in the point of view of. And our character, like I said, we're not very far yet. Our MCs haven't even met yet, so we're not very far. And she decided she doesn't like her chapters she's done so far, so she's going to rewrite them. When she will, I have no idea. But she writes chapters, sends them to me, and then I put copy and paste them into the document, the official document of the one we are working on. So yeah, that is our plan, and that is what we're doing. I also have a series called Power Within, which is going. I have started the first book, but I'm not that far in. I don't think either. A lot of these I'm not that far in because they're on hold. I just have them like started and ready. Um, but it is a book. There's gonna be six. I think there's gonna be 6 books. No, 5 books. Okay, 5 books. Pretty sure there's gonna be 5 books. But basically, it's in first point of view. I only have a couple books. I think I have 2 or 3 book series planned that are in first point POV. But most books I write are in third. But Power Within is about there's 4 girls with 4 elements. They all grew up in the same area. They all know each other, but none of them, but they're all their powers are only being shown now. And so the queen had sent her most trusted guard, advisor, whatever you want to call him, to retrieve them. So and then they can go and train to fight um, the queen's brother and his sidekick, I guess you can call him, a necromancer. And it's in first point of view, so you don't get that much into all the girls. You mostly get into Rosalinda. Her power is water. That's her element she can control, but with she can do other things like ice and stuff that goes with water, basically. So yeah, uh, that's that story. Everything else is solely about witches. I think I have an obsession. Moving on from my a little addiction there. Um, but this one I have a lot of ideas for. A lot of ideas for. 14 books are planned for this series. I have a lot of ideas for this series. It's about this isn't there's 2 main characters, but it isn't their point of view, and it's about these 2 witches, Ruby and Melinda. Melinda's 15, 16, around then, and Ruby is centuries old. Witches are immortal in this story. Some of my stories have witches be immortal, some of them I do not. It just depends on what works best for the story. But in this one, a big part of the story, and a huge part of the story and of Ruby's character is the fact that she's centuries old. Um, and they are complete opposites, and they meet. Ruby is Australian and she moves to America, Salem, Massachusetts to be specific, and with her coven, the Darkened Soul Coven, and she is the priestess of the coven, because there's each coven has a high priestess and a priestess. The high priestess is the leader. The priestess is the soon-to-be leader, the leader in training, basically. So that's basically what she is, the high priestess in training. And Melinda doesn't know she's a witch. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Okay, sorry. She does know she's a witch, but she's hiding it because her parents are witch hunters. So she has to hide the fact that she is a witch. The only people that know are her two best friends, Alicia and Alex. And Ruby has had a hard life, a lot of tragedy, and that only gets worse. But the two of them become close, they become friends, and no, they do not become something more. Melinda's love interest is Alicia, and Ruby, I have an amazing relationship. I'm planning for this, a very slow burn relationship, which I'm excited to write. I mean, I've written slow burn before, but they were always in fan fiction. I don't think I've written a slow burn yet for my actual stories, but I'm very excited for the slow burn. Like, you won't even see them they don't even have any signs of them ever getting together for the first few books. But that obviously changes, and I'm very excited for the slow burn. They end up having to try to defeat this evil witch, but turns out they thought she was the evil witch, but turns out she was being controlled and manipulated by someone else, which is I don't want to get too much into it because it's a spoiler. But yeah, I have a lot of ideas planned for this series. Next is Skeleton Bride. Um, Skeleton Bride is, like I said, my only story without witches at all. It's about skeletons and only skeletons, which I'm very excited for because I love skeletons. They're very underrated, and there really isn't many books or TV shows, movies, whatever, with skeletons, and it's a crime because I love skeletons. This one is in, I told you I had another one that's in first point of view, and it is, but there's two different point of views. There's Anastasia, who is a skeleton, and Vivian, who is a human girl. And Vivian doesn't believe in the supernatural, unlike her best friend Wylan, who is not Wylan. I ended up changing the name. What did I change the name to? What did I change their name to? I don't remember. But Vivian's best friend is non-binary, and there's also a trans character, and one of because Anastasia has two best friends, Sander, who is not trans, and then Tyra, and Anastasia's lesbian, and Vivian is Arrow Ace. I forgot to say the sexualities of my other characters in my other stories. In Power Within, I have an Arrow Ace character and a lesbian, and two lesbian characters. Then in Witch's Bond, I have two asexual characters, a lesbian character, and a bisexual character. Witch's Assassin, I don't remember what the sexuality of Alyssa's character is, but mine is a lesbian, and so is her girlfriend, or her fiance now. So yeah. But going back to the story, Skeleton Bride. Anastasia is a skeleton and has been for centuries, and she is trying to defeat the Grim Reaper, who's all evil in the story. But that's a long story. The Grim Reaper isn't always evil, but in this story, for the twist that happens, well, it's not really much of a twist. There are twists in the story, but this one isn't really a twist. But yeah. So, but Vivian accidentally gets mixed up in this. She doesn't want any part of it. She tries to get back to her normal life. That doesn't happen very well. That's not very easy for her. I'm already at the point where she was trying to get back to her normal life. And then Anastasia doesn't want Vivian anywhere near this. She doesn't want the humans anywhere near this. She's trying to save humanity because the Grim Reaper's goal is to wipe off, to basically kill every human on the earth and then make his planet his personal graveyard. Yeah, he's evil. So Anastasia had centuries ago created this skeleton rebellion, which is name of book 2, I think, Skeleton Rebellion. And it has been trying to defeat him for centuries, and everyone started to lose hope, and the war seems to be in the favor of Grim Reaper and his skeleton. And the Grim Reaper has this power where he can, when someone dies and becomes a skeleton, he can basically control them, their mind, or whatever mind they have in their skull. And yeah, but Anastasia, for some reason, which they do not understand yet, because I'm still pretty early into the story, he cannot control Anastasia, and no one knows why. But Anastasia eventually figured out she has a power of herself, like the Grim Reaper, who can control skeletons. Anastasia can say, can get skeletons out of his control, which she does sometimes, but she can't just get every skeleton because he always ends up with new skeletons. So, but whenever she needs the extra people, she can get them out of his control and save them. So yeah, but Vivian obviously gets washed up in this skeleton rebellion and ends up a part of it, and there's no romance in this story, none at all. This one, I have another story that's also has no romance. It's just about friendship. And this is kind of the same thing. Vivian and Anastasia do grow close. They do not have this romance, but they do get close and become best friends. So yeah. And I have so many twists for this series that I'm excited. There's gonna be 6 books in the series, so yay. Um, and then I have the Vicious Militants, which is the sequel series to the Crystal Light, which is published. Crystal Light is a duology, both books published. The Vicious Militants will also be a duology. The second book's gonna be called The Warrior, and I don't know when it's gonna be published, but I got pretty further into that one than I am all the others. I'm like halfway, I want to say, in the Vicious Militants. I'm very happy with the progress I made on it. In the Crystal Light, as I said in my other video where I was talking about my published books, I briefly mentioned there's going to be a sequel series about where Andrea becomes the main character, because Andrea was a side character, but she was barely in the first book, but she has a bigger role in the second book, but now she's the main character, because I'm pretty sure she's going to be a fan favorite. I know my mom and Alyssa both loved her character already, and I'm pretty sure she will be a fan favorite. She's like a feminist. And there's this one epic scene that made me fall in love with her, and I'm pretty sure that's the scene that started the idea for the sequel series. Like seriously, I was like, this girl deserves her own series. Like I'm not even kidding. But basically, I don't want to spoil what happens in the Witch life, but something happens. She needs to get away. She just needs to find her own path, and she always wanted to travel, so she ends up traveling. And she ends up finding herself in the walled city of Rhymehelm, and finds herself in the midst of this trio, Maybelle, Mateo, and Maverick, who are basically this very tiny organization, this trio of um, I don't know what to call them exactly, but they call themselves the Vicious Militants. Um, but they they're kind of in the midst of this war. They know this war is coming. They just don't know all the details, and they definitely don't know who's behind it yet. But Andrea finds herself in the midst of it by accident, and she even gets close to Mateo. No, it is not a romantic thing. Andrea is asexual homo romantic. She's into girls, and Mateo is straight. So no. I know people always assume romance there. No, there's not. It's not always gonna be romance. Okay, I love friendship. Yes, I have some romance in my stories too. I do have those two. I do have 2 series planned. One started, one outlined. That's no romance at all. But um, I just think friendship's more important. And there is romance in this one. not very much. It's mostly just mutual attraction between Mateo and Maybell. But and Maverick is zero ace, so no love interest for him. And like I said, Andrea is dealing with stuff, so no love interest for her. She ends up in the midst of this war that's going on, of this organization trying to destroy a bunch of cities, and they think Brimhelm is next, so they're trying to stand guard and protect their city. So yeah, that's kind of what this duology is about. And then my last WIP, The Realm of Monsters. It's the one I'm mainly working on because it's the first one I want. It's the next one I want to get published. It is about Realm of Monsters. The characters are Calista, Roxanne, Isabella, Henry, Jeremy, and Eric. Those are the main characters. There's also characters. Astoria is also on the beginning. She's the leader of the realm, and Isabella and Henry's mom. And then they actually leave the realm monsters for a little bit because they go to Calista's hometown before the realm monsters was created, because she's been around for 1,000 years, and the realm monsters is not that old. So they go to Athens, Greece, and run into a few of her old friends, Athena, Hesiostos, and Frederick. All ancient beings as well. Frederick, Piestros are vampires, and then Athena is just something else entirely. And they have to defeat an enemy of Calista's, someone that hurt her a lot before, when she was barely a vampire. I don't want to get too much into that because that's a huge spoiler, but his name's Caleb, and he is evil, obviously. So Calista's going through a lot of trauma from remembering the trauma he had caused her all those centuries ago. But let's see. So Calista's a vampire, Roxanne's a werewolf, and they fall in love. But it's not easy because, first of all, werewolves and vampires hate each other, and Calista takes an automatic dislike to Roxanne, even though Roxanne feels an attraction towards Calista. And kind of have this it's not, you don't really get into the forbidden aspects, but it's not really allowed for creatures to be with anyone outside their species. And then there's Isabella. Calista's really close to Isabella and her family. Henry, Astoria, but that's a long story, and once my book's published, you can read it and find out. Although I don't think it's going to mention the first book. It's probably going to be the second book where you really get into that. But Isabella's a witch. Henry is a cyclops. Jeremy is a warlock. Eric is a centaur. And that was everyone, right? Yeah. So they have to defeat Caleb, which they do, and they go back to their own monsters. But so they defeat Caleb. So spoiler alert, they do defeat Caleb in book 2, but book 3 they have a new problem to deal with, and they have to save their home. But yeah, so those are my WRPs. I hope to publish Realm Monsters in January 1st. So hopefully, and so please like and subscribe and comment if you think any of these sound interesting. If you like to get to read any of these once they're out. I won't be seeing the covers on the side or anything because I've not done cover reveals for any of these yet. The Realm Monsters cover I will be doing a cover reveal for soon. I usually do the cover reveal after I finish writing, but before I start editing. That's usually the time period I do the cover reveal for. So I will do it will be a very short video of the cover reveal for the Realm Monsters once it's time for the cover reveal, so you guys can get a view of what the cover will look like. So I'll talk to you guys later.